Hello, it is 570, week number 2. My name is Bill. I'll be your instructor for this week, and I guess every week. So, looking ahead this week, um, the big thing you have this week is looking at. Where did I just close the window? It's so awkward. Is looking at. No, I was there. Let's go back forward. Um, what your personalized reflective practice implementation plan is for next week. You definitely want to get started on that Google Doc this week, um, because there's a lot on that Google Doc that you need to do in preparation for your assignment. That assignment is a mouthful. You're essentially going to create your own reflective practice model. You're going to create a diagram for you, something you're going to actually use. You're going to be using it throughout the course. It's going to come up again and again. Um, there's a few examples of what that's going to look like. There's suggestions on what platform you might use. Google Drawings is on that list. I would not recommend Google Drawings, because if you look at the rubric, um, diagram aesthetics is part of what you are graded on, and Google Drawings is just, it's hard for it to look professional. It kind of looks like something that like a fifth grader would make in 2004. Um, so I recommend, if you've not played with Canva for education, all Canva accounts are upgraded to Pro if you use a school account. So I would encourage you to do that. And if you've not worked on creating models or diagrams in Canva, this is a really good place to try that. Canva for Education is absolutely giving the Google Suite for Education a run for its money for how AI is baked into it, for image generation, for just how professional, polished, clean it looks. Google Drive definitely has a specific look when you create assets in that, particularly on Google Slides. You open up Google Slides and you're like, yeah, that's Google Slides. In a similar way, like that old school like PowerPoint template that had like the three, like the red, green, and yellow primary color like crayons in the corner. Um, that has like a very particular look. I think Google Slides is starting to get there. So if you've not played with Canva for Education, I encourage you to do that in this assignment. Again, it's due in the following week, but if you click on that Google Doc, there's, if I just Command F and type in here, there are 11 assets that you need to go through, things you need to read or watch or review. Some of them are decently lengthy, particularly the scholarly work around how reflective practice is already being shifted with AI in education. There's 3 different resources for that, and they're fairly dense. So strongly recommend getting started with that, because you're going to want some time to go through those 11 resources, all on that Google Doc. So if you look at week 2 content, not a lot there, but if you click on that document at the very bottom where it says a look ahead, that's where you get a Google Doc that describes the resources you need to review, what your tasks are, and the rubric for next week. So the one thing you do need to do this week is your weekly Microsoft Flip reflection. You should be doing this each and every week. It's connected with another 570 course, because I think there are 4 of you, and so that starts to feel a little small. And so if you're like, who are these other humans that are not showing up in my discussion board? That's what's going on. You're going to be reading a little bit about Dewey. It's called How We Think, John Dewey on the Art of Reflection and Fruitful Curiosity in an Age of Instant Opinions and Information Overload. Whew. So just to give you a heads up, all the Dewey text is both relevant and incredibly dense. And so this talks about how John Dewey's like iconic work, How We Think, continues to be relevant in understanding the process around reflective practice and its implications in education. So you're going to be reading through that article, which I think of all the Dewey texts is probably the least dense, just to kind of calibrate you for what that looks like. You're going to look at the idea of reflective thinking from Dewey and looking at kind of how it compares to just acquiring facts. They are very different practices. You're going to look at curiosity and a little bit about the scientific method and how that connects to the learning process. You're going to look at Dewey's, you're not going to look, you're going to read as this article discusses how Dewey critiques the traditional educational systems that stifle creativity. Does that sound familiar? Feels like a blog post you might read or like a thread on Twitter now in 2023. I mean, it feels super relevant to me. And then it looks at the need and advocates for educational reform that centers critical thinking and problem solving skills. Again, super relevant. Oh my gosh, like, could that be more relevant? And yet it's Dewey did not write it this year or this century. It's still applicable. So that is what that's about. That's what your Microsoft Flip video reflection is going to be about. Make sure you're getting a head start around that assignment, that first assignment that's due the following week. And that is all you've got for this week. If you're looking at those AI and education resources on the Google Doc, they're highlighted in yellow, hard to miss. And you're like, oof, this is pretty dense. There's a fly just like circling around me. I've been blogging and podcasting about my take on AI in education. New podcast episode actually went out just this last Friday. So if you're looking for something either to drive to listen to the podcast, like no pressure and not part of the course, but I try to make it more easily digestible than perhaps those scholarly articles that you're going to be reading in the first 3 links where it says, please click here and read around AI and education. So I think kind of both of those are important takes on where we are as the institution of education. And yeah, so that's what I've got for you for week number 2. As always, reach out with any questions and have a great week.